Hello and welcome to Rear Winging It, the Formula One podcast. I'm your host Ellie, and I'm joined by my co-host Kieran.
Evening.
We are without fellow podcaster Harry today. We sent him our well wishes. He is waiting for a bus. We've all been there. You know, you wait 15 years for a bus and then 3 come along at once. And of course, I'm talking about a championship fight.
Rumour has it now the Sours have got to be drunk. He's disappeared, which is very convenient, I have to say.
Yeah, Harry's quit the podcast because otherwise he's going to need his stomach pumped and a liver transplant. Yeah, we'll get onto that in a second. But first off, we'll talk about qualifying. Often on tracks like this, qualifying is the most interesting part of the weekend. Yeah. Not particularly interesting for Lewis Hamilton because he didn't take part in a great deal of qualifying. He was out in Q1 again. So obviously last weekend we had the sprint race, and he was out in Q1 in both the sprint qualifying and the actual qualifying. So this makes it 3 consecutive Q1 knockouts. I think part of it, sometimes it seems like the team aren't putting him on the track at the right time, but also he's just not finding performance in that car. Kieran, do you think he's just mentally checked out?
He gave up on this season. Yeah, I think he gave up on this season a long time ago. I think Lewis is a 7-time champion. He wants to win races, and when he's not, he just doesn't know how to deal with it. It looks like that's a bit harsh maybe, but yeah, I think mentally he checked out this season a long time ago. So I just, regardless of what form he truly has and you know how much of who Lewis Hamilton can be is still in there, I don't know, because I feel like he's not cared. It's easy for me to say that sitting here. You know, he's still putting his life on the line every week in an F1 car, but for his performances kind of show that he's not really with it in the last few races of the season, for sure.
The way he speaks to the media, he's always been one of the more honest characters in Formula One. But the way he's been speaking to the media the last few races, he seems so downbeat, so sad.
Depressed. I think we can say that, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's just... This era of car, the ground effect car, hasn't suited his driving style, but I think...
No, not at all.
He always, maybe with Mercedes, had a team that was working with him, but the way that him and his engineers speak on the radio, it's really strange, because and obviously we were used to him and Bono having such a harmonious relationship, they'd worked together for so long, but...
Yeah.
Now, it seems like Hamilton... just it's weird. It's like, I think that's just how Ferrari are on the radio, but at the end of the race, I think he was saying, you know, at the end of this weekend, he was saying, oh, you know, thanks for the year, it's been a tough year, but you know, thank you for the support on that. And there was just silence on the radio, and he said, are you listening to me? And they were like, and his engineer replied, yeah, we were just talking. like
oh
they're just
God.
so weird, that relationship.
Given he was then throughout the race telling him to stop talking to him because he was reporting things, and they said, yeah, copy. He's like, don't copy, just note it down, do your job, you don't have to tell me. He was getting very frustrated, and I think it's kind of synonymous with his year, really.
Yeah, it's just not quite clicked for him, and I think
no.
That relationship is maybe the most prominent example. Yeah. Somebody
Definitely.
who has done,
but it comes with time, maybe.
Better. Yeah, it comes with time. That relationship doesn't just pop out of nowhere, but it's just surprised me how bad it's been. Maybe it shouldn't have.
Yes,
but it has. So Bortoleto managed to get his Sauber into Q3. Whilst Hulkenberg was out in Q1. Bortoleto, I think, we've said it before, he's kind of the rookie that's maybe flown under the radar the most because he's in the worst car. I guess other than that,
easily the worst car of the rookies, yeah.
Yeah. Colapinto's...
Is Franco a rookie? We've not really discussed whether we considered Colapinto a rookie this year.
Because that's the thing, is he then a rookie next year if it's his first full season? You know, like Lawson.
No, he can't. He's been in too many races now.
Yeah, but he's not done a whole year.
Surely.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, but he's probably got at least 20 F1 races under his belt by comparing the two seasons. So, yeah, he can't be. Because there's no way he's considered a rookie next year.
So, yeah, so Bortoleto did well. Tsunoda also managed to get into Q3, which was really handy for the Red Bull as a team. This year, they've not really been able to play the team game. Tsunoda managed to give Max a tow. But both of Max's laps were very impressive. He was 2/10 ahead of the McLarens. Just another dominant Max performance.
Yeah, another huge performance from Max. I mean, he kind of needed it this week. Obviously, his only real shot at the championship, which we'll get onto, was to win. And he definitely turned up to win this weekend. You know, he was mint. I saw Alonso gave him a little toe as well, from the looks of it. But even without the toe, he probably would have been fast enough.
Yeah, George Russell was asking, you know, get me out so that Max will give me the toe, because I guess also for Max, he would have wanted, I don't know if he would have necessarily been able to orchestrate it, but he would have wanted George to have been in the mix to
he's
push
good and he's got
Lando
good
down
racecraft, but yeah, trying to organise that would have been very impressive.
Yeah, but George was on the radio trying to say, get me out. Get me out so Verstappen will give me a toe. So I thought that was quite funny from George that he was thinking about that. But
it shows that George is quite switched on. George is quite a switched on operator.
Yeah.
Doesn't always get it right, and you know, sometimes he demands the swap and he wants a tyre, and it doesn't always work, but he's always switched on as to what he wants strategically. I'll give him that.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Sometimes, as you say, it doesn't always work out, and sometimes he only has, like, you know, more in the race, he only has like the view from the cockpit, and the team have more data, and he'll be arguing with the team, but the team have more information, they know better.
But I like a racer trying to take the race into his own hands, though, at the same time. I like the attitude that it comes with, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Speaking of,
I'd like to see George in a big championship fight. But
Fernando Alonso out-qualifies Lance Stroll 24-0 of the season.
Unbelievable,
because that's...
I don't even think Max has done that with a teammate.
The consistency is remarkable, but to be like... Yeah. You know, people crash out, people have mistakes in qualifying, people have, you know, I don't know, it's just crazy. It's Alonso, man, is so good. But is, like, as I said the other week, is he actually that good, or is Stroll just really bad? Like, is Alonso just an old man? Is he washed? Do we not know this because Stroll's really bad? I don't know, but
I don't think we know, to be honest. Well, 21 I think shows that he's better than Lance Stroll, but I don't know what that proves.
Yeah.
You know, that's the issue. If it was against like a young, you know, if he had, for example, like a Bortoleto, a Antonelli, one of the young, good, well, any of the rookies are quite a good year, right? Any of the good rookies in his car, and he still did that to them, it'd be very impressive. But against Stroll, we know who Stroll is, we know what Stroll is. Still impressive, but, you know, context, you know?
Yeah, I think it's more, the impressive thing is the consistency to do it over a whole season, to never have an off weekend, to never have a weekend where you've crashed or somebody's got in the way, and sometimes you just have, like, you've not put in a good run and then there's a red flag, the session ends, you know, and to have avoided all of that is very impressive. We'll move on to the race then, because we've spoken enough about qualifying. This was one of the races, I don't know how they decide, but Sky have, like, they go to the pit wall and they'll talk to one of the teams, and this week they were with McLaren, I guess. I don't know, because they're almost always with McLaren, but sometimes they're with James Vowles. They used to do it with Horner sometimes, but I think they still do it with Laurent Marquis, so I don't know if it's just some of the teams do it.
Every now and again, but not as much. Not as much as McLaren.
McLaren are
Maybe it's because it's so jarring every time I hear Zach Brown that I don't like it and I remember it more, but it's always Zach Brown.
Yeah, maybe.
He's not even... Not even the team principal. It drives me nuts.
It should have been.
He's just a man. He shouldn't even be there.
Anyway, but what I'm going to say is it was interesting to have his thought on this. But as you say, it is not odd that he's there, but I think that the success of McLaren comes like from this year and from last year comes from Andrea Stella, not Zach Brown as much. I think he's still been a big part of it, but I think
Zach Brown laid the framework, to be honest, of what McLaren looks like now. I think Zach Brown is a major part of that. You got to give him that credit.
No, but I think
they don't look like they look now without Zach Brown.
When they changed from like Andrea Seidel to Andrea Stella, there was like it was like a small thing, but it's changed. They went from being this like back of the grid to being the front runner, you know, to win back-to-back constructors.
Yeah.
Point is, Sky were with McLaren on the pit wall, and Lando lost out. Lando lost out on lap 1 to Piastri, so I don't know, but they asked him, they said, was that pre-planned? And his reply was, I'm not surprised by it. Do you think that was something that the team had discussed, or do you think maybe Lando just thought it was a smart move for him to have Piastri ahead of him in case he needed to drop back down?
Yeah, I think what he meant by that was like the instruction was you're allowed to race carefully, and it was a very careful, very safe move.
Yeah.
Knowing, who knows? Yeah, I don't know. I think if they were going to swap it, they would have done it. If it was going to be planned for them to swap, there were safer still ways and easier ways of doing it than what they did. So I don't think it was planned to that degree. I just don't think they minded too much. Who knows? Maybe we'll never know. But it works out quite nicely for McLaren, I think, because
it served both drivers.
Max couldn't really back them up. Yeah, exactly. I think it did serve them both well. So maybe, but maybe they're really good at faking it, and that was, that was how they decided to do it to fool. I don't know why they would have felt the need to pretend to. Yeah, but I think what he meant by that was like Oscar's going to try his best, and they're going to let him as long as he doesn't take out Norris, which he didn't. So maybe that's what he meant by not being surprised.
Yeah, maybe. Because I think, from my point of view, if I were Norris, I would have let Piastri through, because if Piastri beat Verstappen, that makes it easier for Norris to win the championship. And if not, and I'm under threat in fourth, or someone in fourth overtakes me, Lando Norris, then I know that the team have come out and said beforehand, Oscar would play the team game. So it served...
Yeah.
But it also served Oscar to get past, because he needed to win the race. He needed other things to happen, but he needed to win the race as a minimum, really, in order to...
Yeah, but you're right. Oscar being the lead gave McLaren more flexibility, actually, like you say, because if it all went wrong, they knew that their trump card would be, I don't know, getting Oscar to pull over and let everyone pass or whatever. Right? They had that ability to... So you're right, it gave them more... what was the word the other week? Strategic variability actually worked this week.
Wasn't it strategic flexibility?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
They did also... Last weekend we kind of bashed on them a bit because they didn't split the strategy and they wanted to keep it, fair. This weekend they did split the strategy and they put Oscar on the hard tyre to begin with. Norris went medium, then hard, and then he pitted to cover off Leclerc and went hard again. Yeah. And Leclerc behind him went onto the medium. Yeah. So
I think so. He either went back to hard or medium, but same result really. But
so by putting them on different strategies, I guess like maybe for Piastri on his side of the garage, he knew if he went the same strategy as Norris, he was very unlikely to win. So maybe he thought, I'll just try something else. Or maybe they were trying to... I don't know, it just seemed... When they had different tyres to begin with, I thought it was strange because they tried to keep everything fair. And this kind of played into Norris's hands a bit. I don't know, it's just weird. Do you think they split the strategy because Oscar gave Oscar a chance to win? Or do you think they split the strategy because that would help Lando win the championship?
I think I think after the opening few laps and the race settled in, it became apparent that Lando himself didn't have a chance of winning. Piastri did. Lando's real race was not getting overtaken by Leclerc. And at that point, I think the strategies, if you think of it in that logic of Oscar's race was to try and win, Lando's race was to try and stay ahead of Leclerc. With that head on, both moves made perfect sense. So I think it was just a bit of pragmatism from McLaren that, like, look, there's two objectives today. Oscar to get as high as possible, Lando to be on the podium no matter what. And I think the strategies they did worked really well for that. So I don't think Norris would have pitted again if Leclerc didn't. And you're right, it was just to fully cover him off and make sure
it was to cover him off, and he had like 8 seconds on him or something like that. He had the time.
It's just to be in an abundance of caution. And again, like, if he was trying to chase second, he probably wouldn't have pitted because he would have lost out too much time to Piastri in the context. So I think they just both had separate objectives on Sunday, and both garages, as it were, for them played it really well and got what they needed out of it.
I agree.
Obviously, Oscar didn't quite catch up to Max. Max just had too much pace, but I think strategy-wise, they kind of did what they had to do.
Yeah, I think it was maybe one of the first times for a while that I thought McLaren played the right strategy. Somebody who never plays the right strategy, Ferrari, they had surprising race pace. They had, I don't really know if I was expecting it because they really struggled. I know, like, Charles qualified okay, but he did seem to be struggling to keep it on the track. So I was really surprised.
Keeping it a straight line.
Yeah, I was really surprised with the pace he showed in the race. And as we say, he was able to take the battle to Norris for quite large parts. It was almost like at the beginning of the stint, he matched the pace, but then the McLaren maybe is easier on its tyres, and Leclerc then struggled a bit further into the stint.
I think Leclerc was pushing a lot, and in dirty air for a lot of it, behind Norris that kind of ate his tyres up. But it was good to see a bit of fight, you know. It was a bit like, I don't know what Leclerc's trying to achieve out of this. Like, you know, he's just trying to cost Lando the championship, really. That was what it felt like.
Well, he made it interesting.
No, you got to try. But... Exactly. And he's obviously just trying his best to finish as high as possible. That's kind of your job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It would have been interesting, you know, had he have finished above him. But then, as I say, I don't feel like there was that much jeopardy because I think McLaren would have played the team game. So had Leclerc have got past, then I think it wouldn't have really made a difference in the end. So
no,
it all felt
would have made it spicy though.
It would have made it more interesting, especially it would have been really interesting to hear the kind of call to Piastri and how he would have reacted to that. And how
then Oscar would have maybe had a chance himself if he then really went for Max, and so maybe he would have said, it would have been interesting to you know, be between the ears of Oscar Piastri in that moment, if that was the call that was made, to see how he reacted would have been really interesting. So we kind of got robbed of that a little bit. I think it would have been very interesting to see his reaction. He probably would have got out of the way, to be honest, but we didn't get to see it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Hamilton managed to get up to P8 after his Q1 exit, which drivers, it held off Antonelli from overtaking him, so he maintained P6, which I think means he's never finished lower than 6th. Or maybe 6th is his lowest finish. Yeah, so I think 6th
that's pretty impressive
lowest,
given he's had a few years of being in cars that weren't great. Like his end of his stint at McLaren, they really struggled in the Brawn year, and they really his first few years at Mercedes. So that's pretty impressive actually, that he's managed to this may well be his worst season after such a long career. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, or joint worst season. Hulkenberg also was out in Q1, and he managed to get up to P9. So obviously there was there was action going on. It just maybe not at the front, and the race kind of focused at the front.
I say I don't really. So we've noted that Hamilton was up to P8, Hulk's up to P9. Couldn't tell you that I really saw that on TV much.
I guess they knew the race that people were interested in, but it would have been nice to have a bit
showdown.
more.
It makes sense.
As I say, we need a bigger picture-in-picture so that we can see two things at once, because we could have had more of the battles that were actually going on. But we didn't get to see that. But at the same time, had they been showing us that and not the championship battle, would have been annoyed by that. So, you can't have it both ways.
Exactly.
But there were no crashes, no safety cars, to my knowledge, no yellow flags even.
No, not at all.
I think we were messaging each other and we were saying, like, it's kind of a bit boring now in that kind of middle part of the race. I know that there were some people doing a 1-stop, some people doing a 2-stop, but it's still... I think this happens with a lot of races, especially races like this one.
It's been the case all year.
They hit like a lull, and there was just no action in this one.
Nothing going on. Yeah, from lap about probably lap 10 until lap 40, it was just dry. So
we did
dry.
have a bit of Lando making his way through traffic. Because he had to overtake. But he had to overtake Antonelli. Did he do both racing?
Yeah, he got stuck behind a bit of a DRS train. Yeah, he did. He got stuck behind, I think, like four, maybe 5 cars. And he did really well to get through them all really quickly, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
So, on to our next point then. So, Red Bull essentially just left Yuki out there. They obviously weren't really caring.
They started him on the hard tyre, right, to just put him out as long as possible. To just
leave him out as long as possible to try and slow up the McLarens. It was so obvious what they were doing, and fair play, that's the game. But that then left a train behind him, which Norris worked his way through. And yeah, when he got there, God, that was a bit of drama, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yuki was obviously unsuccessful. Norris got past him reasonably quickly, but he was put out to play the Sergio Perez 2021 game.
Perez role.
The defending... it was dangerous and he got a 5-second penalty, but I remember thinking in the moment the radio calls coming in were crazy from Red Bull pit wall saying you know what to do. Obviously I guess it was just hold him up as long as possible,
just defend hard.
But the way the calls,
too much malice in it.
No, but the way, I don't know, I remember just thinking he doesn't have a seat for next year. If he crashes, he's like, he might get like whatever points in his license, that doesn't matter. He might get a big penalty for the next time he races, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I think for the integrity, I don't know, I get what you're saying, but I don't think there was ever that much danger that he was going to do anything that insane. I mean, maybe, I don't think he would have done it beyond what he would do anyway, as Yuki can do sometimes.
But it's interesting.
I think the tyre offset and the speed offset was just too big that it was never going to go any other way than a quite an easy overtake.
I think, is it crazy that 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we would have been a bit surprised, but we wouldn't have been like, oh my goodness, if Yuki had crashed into him.
Oh yeah, we'd be like, oh yeah, that's how it goes.
That's how the sport works. Oh, so it is.
That's how it's, yeah.
It is a different sport these days. I think perhaps
definitely
the way Red Bull posed it was a bit unsportsmanlike, but ultimately Norris was just put out there to hold him up.
Yeah, I think that they had a target that Sunday of they need Max to probably win and Lando to finish off the podium, and within the parameters of the rules, that's what they tried to do, and it didn't work. But they didn't tell Yuki, so we'll go into Yuki obviously ended up with a 5-second penalty for weaving, which is fair. I think he was weaving a lot on the straight.
Yeah,
I don't think they told him to weave, they just told him to defend as hard as he can, and that is totally reasonable request, I think. But what did you make of Norris's overtake off track? Obviously there's been a few calls like this in previous years which people have ended up with penalties. Do you think it's fair that he got away with it, as it were?
Yeah, I think when I watched it at first, I thought, oh, they're going to give him a penalty for that, just because I think the stewards are often making the wrong decisions. Because he was off the track when he completed the overtake, but when you have Yuki weaving around, it was deemed that Norris was forced off the track, which I don't know if he was forced off the track, but I think he definitely went off the track because he didn't want to crash into Yuki.
Because there's people who break it down. I've seen some videos on Instagram breaking it down to the point where it's like, oh, well, when Norris went to the left, Lando had actually straightened the steering wheel a bit. It's like, yeah, but if you have a man ahead of you weaving that harshly, it's totally natural for Norris to be like, right, I'm going to give him a wide berth to go round him here because he's weaving everywhere in what was an unsafe manner. So I think that was the mitigating factor, was that really.
Yeah, I think 5 seconds for Yuki wasn't particularly harsh. I was kind of expecting 10. But yeah, no, I thought what Norris did obviously was a bit messy, especially as by the time it kind of went under investigation, there was a car between them, so he couldn't swap back.
Yeah,
so that made me think, oh, maybe it'll be a 5 second penalty. I don't think it should have been a penalty. It's just...
And I don't think it would have been enough by the end of the race either, because he was 7 ahead of Leclerc by the end.
Yeah, he was pushing
was that
quite hard at the end. Though? Yeah, it would have, but then I guess they just wouldn't have stopped.
So that would have been interesting. No, they just wouldn't have stopped. But then obviously it would have been, they could have been so much. There was plenty of drama, but there could have been so much more. Because now I'm thinking of scenarios where he was less than 5 seconds away from Leclerc, then it wouldn't have mattered if Oscar backed behind him, because the time is time, and
Yeah, I am surprised that Max didn't back them up more than. Yeah, I was kind of expecting it to be... I mean,
Piastri was surprised. He asked in the cool-down room, didn't he? He's like, didn't fancy backing us up?
It just seemed strange because he knew...
There's nothing to lose.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess I think he knew that there was no other team other than... nobody other than him would be able to match the McLaren on pace.
Yeah.
And I think...
Yeah,
It seemed strange to not back them up because he knew that no one was going to be able to go with them.
Well, I think partly as well that's why Piastri overtaking Norris was quite important for McLaren as well. That it wasn't even like it was Norris behind him who would have been really worried about getting into a crash / damaging his car, trying to get past Max. So he might have sat behind him. Whereas Piastri was in a position with nothing to lose, same as Max really, where if he backed the pack up and Piastri had a chance, he would have tried to overtake him. And at that point, the chance, basically, Max would have lost out on a victory and the championship. So I think it got to a point with that they just realised, look, let's at least get a victory and end the season on what is a high.
Yeah, I maybe they just thought there's just too much. Just go out and drive your race.
Just do your race. You don't know what's going to happen. If you win the race, every single other weekend, winning the race is the best you can possibly do. So just win the race and see what happens. And if fate intervenes, it intervenes, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably the way that he looked at it, because Max was so calm. The whole kind of he was in the battle, but he was very much aware that he shouldn't have been in the battle. So he was very what happens kind of thing, and having four behind him, it makes it a bit easier to relax in those situations. So I think he just went out and did his weekend, which was to drive a fantastic race. But it wasn't enough. As we say, Norris did obviously win the championship. It was by 2 points, and I did see in the media pen Antonelli apologised to Verstappen. He said over the radio.
Oh, he doesn't need to do that.
He said to Bono who won, and Bono said, "Oh, Lando won," and he said very tentatively,
by 2 points.
By how many points? And Bono says 2 points. And Antonelli went over and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," but the thing is, as we say, McLaren could have used. McLaren could have used the team orders.
At that point, they would have used team orders.
Yeah.
And Piastri would have definitely moved out of the way, because, if he didn't have a chance of winning, which he didn't really, why would he stand in the way of his teammate winning?
Exactly.
I think at that point, it'd be a bit ridiculous. So,
So I think
at the end of the day, throughout an entire season, 2 points is crazy for it to come down to pretty much the smallest margin it can. Yeah. So I don't think Antonelli can really take much blame for.
No, and I hope he doesn't. I just thought it was. I thought it was really sweet that he went and apologized, because I guess he doesn't. I don't think he manages his own social media, so I don't think he necessarily
social media. Yeah.
So I don't think he saw all of the death threats and that, but he would have been told about it. He would have known about it.
Just if he read the news, he would have seen it, right?
Yeah, and also I imagine somebody in the team briefs them on what's being said about them in the media.
What the kind of questions they might face in the media pen as
exactly.
Well, right?
So
yeah.
So they'll have a press officer telling them that kind of stuff. So he would have been aware of it, and I guess he probably, when he heard it was 2 points, as you know, just felt bad that he'd kind of interfered in it.
You naturally then think about your impact on that.
Yeah.
And would have thought, well, me dropping a place in Norris right at the end last week has directly impacted the championship, but then every week of the season has.
Exactly,
right?
That's what I was going to say, because if that had happened the second race in...
all the points count the same.
Yeah, exactly. If that incident had happened the second race in, no one would have thought about it. Nobody would mention it. It's because it happened in the penultimate one that everybody kind of has it on their mind. Finally, then, for the race, Racing Bulls ended up with 0 points, nil point, for this weekend. But they did manage to hold on to P6. This was Alonso finished in P6. Alonso finished P10. Sorry, Alonso finished P6. Stroll finished P10. But it just they were
quite a strong weekend for them, really.
Yeah, but for Aston Martin, they were 3 points shy. But as I say, like, they can fill up to the budget cap anyway, and it gives them more wind tunnel time next year for Nui to work his magic. So probably not a bad result at the end of the day for them.
Well, who knows? If Nui's busy being team principal, you never know.
Yeah, maybe. But then if he... weird call. Weird call. But anyway, we'll move on to everybody's favourite segment, Grid News. So, this isn't really news, it's just something fun I wanted to talk about. So, Lance Stroll was the last... I didn't check this, I just, someone said it online, and I was like, must be true. So, Lance Stroll
was... face value, yeah.
Yeah. Lance Stroll was the last driver to use the DRS for an overtake, and Antonelli was the last to press the DRS button. And Kieran, who was the first person to press that DRS button?
Ever?
In 2011.
Fernando Alonso.
No.
Jenson Button.
It was Jenson Button, yeah.
Damn it. That was the 2 names in my head. I can't believe I got that wrong.
Yeah. So
good question there.
It is gone now. So DRS is no longer... Well, do you know what?
Lance
I think
Stroll
we're going to have...
the last person to overtake with DRS just doesn't sit right with me.
Why not? He can't overtake without it.
Inconsequential person. Well, I know, but it's just such an inconsequential person for the DRS era. Do you know what I mean? Would have been great if Lewis did it with everything he achieved in the DRS era. You know what I mean?
Oh, gosh, yeah. So, this is kind of, I think you'll probably like this news, is that Helmut Marko has left Red Bull.
Fired.
Yeah, left, fired, whatever. We're not massive fans of him. But what he did was quite funny. So I think there's a few things, but one of them is, so next year for the Racing Bulls, Arvid Lindblad is going to be partnering Liam Lawson, and he made that decision without talking to anybody. But I guess the higher ups at Red Bull were like, oh, okay, that's fine. He then tried to do the exact same thing. He went behind everyone's back and he signed Alex Dunn, the Formula 2 driver who's was released from McLaren Driver Academy, Driver Development Program, whatever. He tried to sign Alex Dunn to the Racing Bull seat. Alex Dunn signed a contract and he was going to be partnering Lindblad for next year. This was despite the wishes of the people at the top of Red Bull.
Of Red Bull, yeah.
When they found out about it, they were not happy. They have now had to pay hundreds of thousands of pounds to get him out, to get Alex Dunn out of the contract. I mean, not a bad way for Alex Dunn to have meant a few £100,000, but...
But imagine Alex Dunn believing he's getting an F1 seat and leaving the McLaren Academy. Probably stepping away from the Academy because he believed he was getting a Racing Bull seat. And now he's just left, I mean, a few £100,000 richer, but just left in the cold. Yeah. Horrible, yeah.
Thing is, it's slightly reminiscent of the whole Piastri Alpine thing.
Somewhat, yeah.
Not obviously.
Look how well that ended for Piastri,
exactly,
by the way.
That's what I'm saying.
I think about that. I was thinking about that the other day, how unbelievably, what an amazing career choice that was for him and how different his career could look right now.
A real, sliding doors moment, you know?
Yeah, massively.
He could have been in the... I don't know, maybe somebody else would have come... maybe he would have left Alpine by now, 3 years in. maybe somebody.
But either way, then maybe no one would have seen his talent.
Yeah.
It goes to show, though, the situation, how important the situation is in F1, because if Piastri was at Alpine and he'd never shown his pace, I don't think he wouldn't even get a mention on our episodes, really, you know?
Yeah, how often do we
speak about Gasly? He would just be a run-of-the-mill F1 midfield driver. Exactly, right?
I don't think we can say midfield.
So it does show the situation, how important the situation is to your career in F1. The team that you're in is so important, obviously.
Yeah, but then we talk about that with...
So it's like the most important factor.
We talk about that with Fernando Alonso, don't we? And he has...
Yeah, the opposite of...
Yeah, he hasn't
choices.
Made the right choices. But then, just to touch on the right choices, Lando Norris obviously joined when McLaren were so bad. They were so bad.
Yeah, his loyalty has been repaid. You know, he was very loyal in the years when they weren't doing well.
And people kind of questioned
the massive contract he signed didn't hurt, but
yeah, but
people questioned whether he was making the right decision of staying,
because you know he's clearly fast. He's clearly like naturally a very, very good driver. There's been you know only ever like little rumors, but there's always been talk of him being at a big team. But he's stayed and he's made the team that he's at a big team.
Yeah, he's so influential in that as well, to be fair to him. Like, the fact he stuck around throughout the years that they were at the back. You got to remember, McLaren in, 2023 were terrible.
Yeah, they started that year awful, ended it a bit decent, and then the last 2 years have
have
been amazing.
The McLaren that we, know and love from our childhood, that's the McLaren that we're used to seeing, right? Literally. Yeah,
seeing them like competing for constructors, competing for drivers. It's been such a turnaround in fortunes, and he has been repaid. But it's interesting because Piastri's now done 3 seasons, so his first season was 2023. So when he joined, he said, "No, I'm not going to Alpine. I'm going to McLaren," and then that McLaren was like at the back of the grid. It was so slow.
Yeah, it looked like a bad decision at the time. Yeah,
and now he's
finished third in the constructors with 7 wins, in the drivers with 7 wins this year. Yeah,
exactly. So it is interesting, isn't it, that these decisions can obviously as you said, it's the team you race for. It's so important because the cars are not all made equally. So. Yeah, we'll see if Alex Dunn ends up with a seat sometime soon. By all accounts, he's incredibly talented, so we may well get that. But with having 6 rookies this year, and then a lot of people will then get signed to like longer term deals, it might be a while before we kind of have a crop like that again.
Oh yeah, definitely. It might be like the years where like Zhou was the only rookie.
Yeah, we've had time before where there's been one rookie, and then the Rookie of the Year award is pretty easy to decide.
Yeah. I mean, how many do we have next year? There's Lindblad. Is that it? There must be more.
No, maybe that's it. Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
This is taking up too much
time.
Yeah,
because of course we have... Yeah, okay.
All right, we'll move on to our driver of the day. Kieran, you go first.
Okay, driver of the day. Just for making it somewhat just for making it somewhat interesting, I'm going to give it to Charles Leclerc. A torrid old season that Ferrari's had. We've seen what he's been able to do with it compared to Lewis has been so impressive across the whole year, and the fact he wrestled it around for us to even try and attempt to chase Norris down, just for making my Sunday that bit more interesting, I'm going to give it to Charles Leclerc.
I don't know who I'm going to go for, because I think, do I give it to Norris because he did what he needed to do? Do I give it to Verstappen?
Winning a world championship doesn't get you a driver of the day from someone, I mean.
Though, yeah. Do you know what? You've swayed me. I'm going to go Norris. He was composed and calm, and when he fought through the traffic, when it was kind of a risky moment, he did it.
Yeah, he did what he needed to do.
He did it well.
Exactly. He took the jeopardy, and he probably the best we've seen him get through traffic, really. He sliced it up really quick. Like within a lap or two, he was through all of it, which he has struggled in the past at that. So it's kind of a nice moment, if anything, a round moment to show how far he's come, that I remember in his first few seasons, he used to struggle getting through traffic a lot, and now cuts through it like butter on his way to a championship. So fair play to him.
Yeah, fair play, definitely. We'll go on to our final thoughts then. Kieran, what's your final thought?
My final thought is, I think things are set up. I mean, firstly, congratulations to Lando.
Yeah.
I think across the season he earned it, and the way upon which he won the championship by finishing third is kind of explains the whole season in many ways. That he has been the most consistent driver on the grid of the 3 championship contenders. He really was the most consistent week in, week out. So I think on that basis, he definitely earned it. And then my true final thought, sorry, I'm just waffling. My true final thought is that I think the next era of regulations is set up so well. There's so much talent on the grid. There's a 4-time champion, a 1-time champion, a 2-time champion, a 7-time champion. There's so many champions. There's so many young, exciting drivers. We've had a great crop of rookies, most of which, the ones still on the grid, have turned out really well. I think the sport's in a great place for next year, and I hope the cars don't disappoint us. But we'll come to that more in our season review, I'm sure. So yeah, that's my final thought. Is next year should be set up for a barnstormer of a year.
So my final thought, and this is obviously like a really important thing. At the end of the year, the drivers have recently decided to go out for a nice dinner. This year, I counted up 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 17. There were 17 drivers there. Nico Hülkenberg wasn't there.
Missing.
And I thought, okay, maybe, he has a daughter. Maybe he's just not come to the dinner. He's being a dad. I didn't think that much of it. I thought, okay, he might be busy. Or he might just not like any of them. He doesn't like...
Yeah.
He's got more of like a keeps himself to himself kind of energy.
I believe that, yeah.
Then...
So does Piastri, but anyway.
Yeah, but then Piastri gets his hair cut by Charles Leclerc's mum, so Charles Leclerc adopted him and stuff, so they obviously are somewhat friendly. Anyway.
Fair enough.
Because have you not seen this? Oscar Piastri doesn't speak any French, and that's right. I don't know, that might be the only language, but it's basically Charles Leclerc's mum doesn't speak any English, and Piastri doesn't speak any language that she speaks. So she cuts his hair, but he doesn't know how to ask for what he wants. Anyway, the 2 other drivers not there were the Aston Martin drivers, and I thought, I wonder if that was maybe they just were in a meeting, or they weren't there, or it was a weird coincidence that they just happened to be from the same team. I don't know. 2 of the same team, yeah. It was interesting. I also heard that Pierre Gasly paid for it. I don't know.
Whoa.
I don't know how they decide that, because apparently Hamilton organised it, and Hamilton chose the menu and everything. And
he normally picks. I think Hamilton normally picks up the bill.
But Pierre Gasly was asked how was dinner, and he said expensive, and then they asked because you had to pay for it. So, I don't know why Pierre Gasly had to pick up the bill, but he did. I cannot imagine the cost of a kind of restaurants. I'm sure. Oh yeah. Formula One drivers frequent. I cannot imagine the cost of that bill for one person to pick up, even if you are an F1 driver. My God. Yeah. We're probably more than my annual salary. Oh my God, easily. Yeah. So that's my final thought. My final thought is, how comes Pierre Gasly got stuck with the bill? So. Exactly. Surely it's before the end of the champion. Surely the world champion should have picked it up. Yeah. Surely. They hadn't decided at that point, so maybe that's why. Maybe, yeah. So that is it for this episode. Thank you, Kieran, for joining me. Harry, we hope that you are on a bus somewhere. On your way home, hopefully. Thank you. We will be back for a recap episode. Maybe also we need to do a bingo episode. So we will be back. We do. But thank you for listening. Not heard The Last of Us. To us during this season. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on this journey with us. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, you can follow us on our social media, on our YouTube. We're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts.
all good, all reputable podcasting platforms.
Yeah, and even the non-reputable ones, if you know what I mean. I don't know what I mean. And we shall see you. This is so rambling. We shall see you at our 2025 season review. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And that is a wrap.
That's a wrap.